You must look where those are
Now, the 2020 December 7 elections was conducted under rules passed by Parliament. Is that correct? The 2020 December 7 elections were passed was conducted by rules passed by Parliament. Is that correct? That's correct. My Lord, it is supposed to be to be conducted by the rules, but we have issues about the application of the rules in the conduct of the elections. CI 127 is binding on the petition. Oh. That's well, it was expanded. Sorry. The petitioner appointed agents for each of the polling stations in the country. Is that correct? That's correct, my Lord. How many agents did the petitioner appoint for each polling station? 2 agents. Now, at each polling station, the petitioner and indeed all the other candidates had agents. Is that correct? I cannot speak for all other candidates. Now, you trained your agents on what their duties at the polling stations would be. Yes, my Lord, that's correct. You trained your agents on how Forms 8A and and 8B was to be completed in each of the polling stations.
That's correct, my lord.
You trained your agents on how each form was self-auditing, and
that's correct, my lord.
You also trained them that if they stated the reasons for not signing, the issue will be taken up at the constituency coalition centers. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
You also trained your agents that at the end of counting and entering of figures, stations will be noted on Form 8B for resolution at the constituency coalition centers. Is that correct? Train them to cross-check their Form 8Bs with anything that is done at the constituency coalition center. Is that issues with Form 10? They could refuse to sign it and state the reasons therefore. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Answers, your agents had the Form 10s with them.
He assumed.
Yes.
Now, whether that is the case is another matter.
Now, you also agree with me that with our elections, results are declared at all the polling stations before they move on to the constituency. Once the results are counted, they are declared at the polling station before we move on to the constituency centers.
Yes, my lord, unless there is a challenge about a particular polling station results.
Yes. And at the constituency level, the collated results are put together and then a winner of a particular constituency is declared. Is that correct?
We have two elections at the constituency that are collated at the constituency level. I don't know which one. Is that the presidential or parliamentary?
Sir, you are here because of the presidential election. Is that correct?
Yeah.
My question is in reference to the presidential election.
The declaration is not done at the constituency level. They indicate the tally for each candidate. The presidential election results are declared at the national level by the returning officer.
Are you therefore saying that at the constituency level, your agents do not know who has this number of valid votes at the constituency level?
That's what I'm calling the tally. The tally of the votes are known, but that is not the declaration of the presidential election.
Okay, good. You train your agents that the Form 10s will be transmitted to the regional coalition centers. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Now you also appointed agents to each regional coalition center. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Indeed, some of your agents, as announced publicly, were lawyers. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Now, you also trained your agents that all the information on Form 10s will be collated into Form 11. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
You also trained them that from collating the results on Form 11, the results will be entered on Form 12. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Now, you also trained them that at that point, they would be invited to either sign onto the Form 12 or object. Is that correct?
That's correct, but they are involved, so they are not sitting somebody to be invited to sign. They are involved in the coalition, and if they agree that the process has been proper, they are invited to sign.
Okay. Now, are you aware that of the 16 regional coalition forms, your agents signed 13 of them?
Yes, my lord.
Are you also aware that one of such forms that was signed was in reference to the Ashanti region. Is that correct? One of the forms that your agent signed. It was in reference to the Ashanti region.
Yes, my lord.
Your agent signed the form for Ahafu. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Your agent signed the form for Oti. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Your agent signed the form for Northeast. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Your agent signed the form for Bono. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Your agent signed the form for Upper West. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Your agent signed the form for Upper East. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Your agent signed the form for Central Region. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Your agent signed the form for Western. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Your agent signed the form for Savannah. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Your agent signed the form for Volta. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
And your agent signed the form for Bono East. Is that correct? Bono East.
No, East. No.
It was signed by Ali Mohammed Samsudin.
That's correct, my lord.
Good. Now, on each of those forms, your agent signed to declare as follows. We, the undersigned, do hereby declare that the results shown above are true and accurate account of the ballots in the region. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, at the National Collation Center, which is the headquarters of the first respondent, you appointed 2 persons to that place for the collation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
One of such persons is Rojo Metonunu. Is that correct?
Yes, my lord.
And Mr. Rojo Metonunu has been a former deputy minister before.
That's correct.
And Mr. Rojo Metonunu has been involved in elections and has even litigated 2 cases in these courts. Is that correct?
My lord, I can't testify to the fact about his litigations, but I know he has been involved in our elections.
Now, there's a reported case. Okay, right. Now, are you aware that at the National Collation Center, Mr. Rojo Metonunu certified 12 of the 13 forms signed by your representatives?
My lord, I cannot testify or deny, but the other agent who will be present in court to testify as to what happened in the National Collation Center, my lord.
Right. Now, let us go to your witness statement. You spoke about Exhibit D, the letter from the National Democratic Congress.
Yes, ma'am.
Dated 9 December 2012. I suggest you that that letter was not delivered to the first respondent.
My lord, our agent who was in the headquarters of the first respondent will be present in court and will attest to that fact.
So you do not know whether it was submitted or not?
A report was made back to me that it was submitted.
I am putting it to you that that letter was not submitted to the first respondent. Yes. I am putting it to you that that letter was not submitted to the first respondent.
My Lord, that fact will be confirmed or denied by the agent who will be in the box subsequently.
So you are telling this court that you do not have personal knowledge of whether or not the letter was submitted to the first respondent?
My Lord, I indicated that I had a report, a feedback that it had been submitted, and since I wasn't present there, I cannot see it as a matter of something that has come to my knowledge.
Right. Now, let's go to your letter. Your letter is in two parts. Is that correct? You can look at it.
You have it.
It is marked Exhibit D.
Yeah.
Would you be kind enough to tell the court the person who signed this letter?
My Lord, it was signed by my deputy on my behalf.
What's the name of the person?
Peter Boama Otokuno.
Right. Now you agree with me that the portion marked C talks about parliamentary elections and therefore has nothing to do with the petition in this court.
Yes, my Lord.
You also agree with me that despite all that you've written about Ashanti, Ashanti was signed by a gentleman called Broja Jemfi. Do you know him?
Yes, my Lord.
And I'm further putting it to you that Ashanti was signed by, was certified by Mr. Rodu Metonunu.
My Lord, the agents who come subsequently will be able to confirm that or deny it.
Do you know whether Rodu signed or not?
Please, I'd like to take the question again.
I'm asking you whether you know that when Ashanti came in, duly signed by Mr. Broja Jemfi, Rodu Metonunu signed against it. Do you know or you don't know?
My Lord, the documents that come to our notice is the final declarations, the signing on the regional declarations at the strong room are not brought to us.
Well, I'm putting it to you that for Ashanti, the form was signed by Broja Jemfi in Ashanti region, and
yes,
when it was transmitted,
testify.
And when it was transmitted to the strong room, as you call it, Mr. Rodu Metonunu signed it.
Well, I can't testify or deny because what happens in the strong room is within the knowledge of people who are in the strong room.
Now, you have attached to your letter 2 sheets from the eastern region. Is that correct?
That's correct, my Lord.
On the first sheet, your agent signed the form. Is that correct?
My Lord, there are 2 sheets. I don't know which is first and which is second.
The second one is what you have. There's one that your agent did not sign. If you look at the forms, there's one the one with the blue ink at the bottom, your agent did not sign.
Yes.
The one that doesn't have the blue ink, your agent signed.
Yes, my lord.
Right. Now, if you put together all the valid votes assigned to each of the candidates that your agent signed, the total will be 1,196,751, and not the 1,236,940 that was written on the form.
My lord, I have realized that the totals there are. Yes, I've looked at. Yes, my lord, that is precisely what I'm about to do. I have done the collations, the additions, and I've realized that the totals on both sheets are the same figures, but the figures that add up to the totals are different. And the one marked in blue is actually accurate.
Now we'll come to the one marked in blue. I am saying that if you add up all the valid votes assigned to all the candidates from number 1 to number 12 on the form that your agent signed, the total should be 1,196,751 and not the 1,236,940 that was written on it.
My lord, I can confirm that the totals are not the aggregates of the numbers there, but I don't remember the actual figure that I got. If the court will permit me, we can add and find out what it is. Yeah. But all our phones have been taken.
My lord, my lord, we brought the calculator.
Yes.
If the court will permit, you can do that too.
Yes.
Order in court, please. Order.
1, 4, 6. Mm-hmm. 5, 4, 7, 6. Yes, your calculator is not 1, 2, 9.
Please, order in court.
My Lord, I have 1,196,751. Correct.
Now, kindly deduct that figure from the figure written on the form. That is 1,236,940. What will you arrive at?
$40,109.
40,000.
109.
189.
189. Sorry.
It is 189.
Yeah.
Good. Now, look at the last page of your Exhibit E, which is the sheet that you attached to your evidence. Yeah, listening. Now, there is a constituency there called Ayenswano. Ayenswano. Do you see 40,189 over there?
Yes, my Lord.
I am suggesting to you that the second sheet that your agent did not sign was corrected to include the Ayenswano constituency results.
Well, I cannot testify to that because if there is any correction to be made on any declaration, those who are part of the declaration must be present for the corrections to be made.
Yes, but you also are aware that where the person whom you have appointed to represent you leaves and refuses to be part of the process, those who are there sign onto the form and the process continues. You are aware?
Yes, I'm aware, but
now I'm putting it to you that when the Ayenswano results were added, all the candidates got the additional votes that they got in Ayenswano, thus making extra gains to make the total value was 1,236,940. I am putting it to you.
My Lord, can you come again?
I am putting it to you that when Ayenswano results that I have just shown you, that if you take the difference that you got from the first sheet from what they had written, you get 4189, and that 4189 on your own spreadsheet Exhibit E, it is spread across all the candidates. The only person who didn't get a gain was Hassan Ayarika. I'm saying that if you put it together, the gains that each candidate made in Ayenswano, the total will now come to 1,236,940. And I'm putting that to you.
Yes, my Lord.
Good. Now, therefore, I am further putting it to you that the Eastern region sheet had no problem, for which you ought to have written to the first respondent.
I deny that, my Lord.
Now, I am further putting it to you that the three remaining constituencies that your agents, the three remaining regions that your agents did not sign, the petitioner won those regions.
My Lord, if the figures are in contention, we are not able to determine one.
Now, those regions are Western North, Northern, and Greater Accra. I'm putting it to you that the candidate won at those regions when the coalition was done. That's the petitioner.
My Lord, I repeat that if the figures are in contention, it is difficult to determine who won.
Now, are you therefore saying that with respect to Greater Accra, you do not know that the petitioner won the election?
My Lord, you claim my agents did not sign, which means that it's part of our case that the figures are in contention.
You see, I am putting it to you.
And in the presidential elections, regions are not won.
Yes, my Lord. Well, my Lord. Well, my Lord.
In the presidential elections, regions are not won. There is one presidential elections and one returning officer who declares the winner at the national level. No other declaration of the presidential elections takes place anywhere else.
Right. Well, I am putting it to you that for the record, Western North was won by the petitioner, and the Western North form, although not signed by your representative, it was certified by Mr. Rudu in the strong room.
My Lord, the agents in the strong room will mount the witness box and they will be able to testify whether they signed or did not sign.
Do you still stand by your petition in this court? The petition that you filed, do you still stand by all the amendments in it?
Yes, my Lord.
Now, let's look at paragraph 12 of your petition. Sorry, the petition of the petitioner, sorry. Paragraph 12 of the petition of the petitioner. Kindly read paragraph 12 to the court.
Paragraph 12. Yeah, I'm ready.
Paragraph 12 of the amended petition, sorry, my lords. Have you seen it?
Yes, my Lord.
Kindly read it to the court.
If the total number of valid votes standing to the names of each of the presidential candidates is summed up, this will yield a total number of valid votes cast of 13,121, 13,121,101. A figure that is completely missing from the purported declaration. 111. A figure that is completely missing from the purported declaration by Mrs. Jean Adukwe Mensah on 9th December 2020 and the purported ratification on 10th December 2020.
Now, I am putting it to you that the figure in the paragraph 12 of the petitioner's petition shows clearly that the number mentioned by the first respondent as the valid vote, total valid vote, was an error, which you have admitted in your petition.
Can I hear the question again, please?
I am putting it to you that as at the time you filed this petition, you knew that the figure 13,121,111 was the correct total valid votes that ought to have been announced on the 9th, as you have said in your petition. I'm putting it to you.
My Lord, these are figures we computed from the first respondent's own data that was supplied. These are not our figures.
Well, you are bound by your petition, so let's go on. At the point that the declaration was going to be done, you have stated that your agents, Mr. Metununu and Dr. Pesa White, left the strong room. Is that correct?
That's correct, my Lord.
I am putting it to you that they left the strong room because they realized that the petitioner had lost the election.
My Lord, I can't attest or deny that one, and these are matters in the personal knowledge of the agents who will be mounting the witness box subsequently.
And they left the strong room because they didn't want to sign the Form 13.
I can't attest to that.
And I'm putting it to you that the total valid votes as at the 9th of December 2020 and captured on Form 13 is the same as the total valid votes in the form in paragraph 12 of the petition.
My Lord, we don't know which is the total valid votes as we stand here, because the first respondent has churned out several different figures. So our case is that Ghana does not know the results of the presidential elections as we sit here now, because the petitioner who has the constitutional duty to conduct the elections has not, the first respondent who has the constitutional duty to conduct the elections and report and exact figures has failed in that duty. So we are confronted with several figures, and it depends on what you want to believe.
Are you saying that you do not believe in the figure that you wrote in your petition?
I picked up, my Lord, I stated that we picked these figures from the respondents' own calculations, not ours. We haven't supplied.
And I am putting it to you that if your representatives had not left the strong room, you would have seen that those figures, 13,121,111, was the total valid votes as captured on Form 13.
My Lord, I can respond on behalf of the agents. I have indicated that one of them will be in the witness box to testify.
I am further putting to you that 8 out of the 12 presidential candidates stayed back and signed on the Form 13.
My Lord, I have indicated that the processes within that National Collation Center are not within my personal knowledge.
Okay, we'll leave it. We'll address it.
Now, let me refer you to your form, your Exhibit E. Look and Bono East. Bono East.
Yeah.
Do you see the valid votes that the petitioner obtained?
As per the computation of the first respondent, yes. Because these are not figures, they are figures from the first respondent.
Right. You also agree with me that the petitioner never obtained all the 128,000 registered voters' votes from the Techiman South constituency as you purport to show in your evidence. I'm putting it to you.
There's no way in the evidence that you propose to say that the petitioner was all. Respectfully, there's nowhere in the evidence where the witness says that the petitioner got all the registered votes in Techiman. There's nowhere in the evidence to that effect. And I think this is just to kind of mislead the witness.
Yes, my lords. My lords, I am not, with the greatest respect, misleading the witness. Lords, as I did that the witness filed his witness statement on he signed his witness statement on the 27th of January 2021. He, in paragraph 12, sought to make analogies with the Techiman South total number of registered voters. And that is why I am asking him genuine questions based on his own documents that he has brought before the court.
My objection is very simple. He's made a specific statement that the petitioner, the petition says that all votes in Techiman South were won by the petitioner. There's no way. This talk about by analogy and so on. Let him point to where in the witness statement.
Mr. Amenuwo, please.
Yes. Now, yes, my lords.
He raised an objection. What is your response to that? Or are you reframing the question?
Lords, I'll rephrase the question.
Okay.
Right.
And then tell me that.
Now, as at the time you filed this petition, I am suggesting, as at the time you filed your witness statement, I am suggesting to you that you could not include paragraph 12 because the total valid votes that the petitioner obtained were known. I'm putting it to you. In the 30-month constituency, they were known.
As at the time
You were
filing the witness statement.
yes,
Yes.
they were known.
Yes.
Good. I'm further putting it to you, therefore, that so I am putting it to you.
Yes.
That using all the total valid votes in the Techiman South constituency, that's registered voters in the Techiman South constituency, to do your analysis is incorrect. I'm putting that to you.
My Lord, the analysis was based on what the first respondent herself claimed. So all the information there, all the figures that were stated there were from the first respondent's own account when they were declaring the results. And if I may proceed, the first respondent claimed that even though they have not had the results of the Chimai South, they feel secure to proceed because even if all the votes of the Chimai South were to be added to the petitioner's tally, it will not change the outcome. Yes. So the analysis we did there was to show that based on the figures she herself declared, that statement could not be correct.
I am putting it to you that the first respondent's chairperson was right, because as at the time she was making the declaration, you knew that the total valid votes in the elections was 13,121,111. I'm putting it to you.
My Lord, I don't understand the question. That I knew, or the chairperson who was doing the declaration knew. Because I didn't do declarations.
You, as a witness in this vote, you knew about that. I'm putting it to you.
That when the first respondent was making the declaration on the 9th, that I knew that the total figures, total of the votes was 30,121,111.
Yes, because you stated so, the petitioner stated so in his petition, that ought to be the correct number, and the first respondent in her answer agreed with you. So I'm putting to you that you knew.
My Lord, you see,
the question.
I don't understand why you seem to be confusing me with the petitioner. I don't understand.
You see, that's why we have to strike out some of the evidence, because you can't speak to them. And so that's the basis upon which we have to strike out some of the evidence. And we are confirming our position.
Oh.
Lord, I'm still waiting for the answer.
I'm saying that I cannot answer for the petitioner. You're asking me questions that ought to be asked to the petitioner. Right. And I'm saying that I'm not.
So, are you going to that?
I took these figures from the respondent's declaration. Now, and before they were declared, I couldn't have known what he was declaring.
The figure at the time.
Now, can you read paragraph 13 of your witness statement to this court?
My Lord, paragraph 13 of mine, witness statement. When the percentages of valid votes cast and standing to the names of each of the presidential candidates. Oh, my witness statement, okay. Witness statement. Have you taken You've taken the witness name.
It's over there. Let me show you. Bring book.
It's here. Paragraph 13. Yeah, paragraph 13. The Techima and South constituency has a total registered voter population of 128,018. And if added to the total valid votes announced by Mrs. Jane Adukwe Mensah as cast, which is 13,434,574, the resultant figure would now be 13,562,592. Consequently, if all the votes of the Techima South constituency were added to petitioners' votes, second respondent's vote will remain the same at 6,730,413, now yielding 49.625%, while the votes of petitioner will increase to 6,342,907, now yielding 46.768%.
So I'm putting it to you that you knew the results from the Techima South, and therefore this analysis of yours is incorrect.
My Lord, I beg your permission to quote paragraph 12 of my statement. That will explain the meaning.
Please
of
answer the question and you can explain.
Okay.
Answer the question. I'm saying that at the time you were making this statement,
Yeah.
you knew the exact results of the Techima South constituency, and therefore the analysis that you had made was wrongful. Answer the question, yes or no. If you want to explain, you explain.
The analysis was right because it was based on a statement made by the first respondent at a certain point in time. So if we are analyzing that statement at that point, I don't see how you bring in the current situation to be able to answer that statement.
I suggest to you that you are wrong because the current situation is the reality. The court deals with reality, not conjecture. I'm suggesting that to you.
My Lord, the current situation cannot be the reality because nobody knows the results of the presidential elections in 2020. Nobody knows in exactitude how many votes each of the candidates got and what percentage each of the candidates got. And the first petitioner, the first respondent, in her own words, and my Lord, I beg to quote in my own statement, currently, the election results we have declared exclude that of Techima South constituency, with a voter population of 128,018. The third election results are not ready because they are being contested. Even if we were to add the 128,018 full results to the results of the second candidate, it would not change the outcome of the election. Hence our declaration of the 2020 presidential results without that of Techima. The respondent was justifying why she had to declare results based on uncompleted tally. And we are questioning that statement, that statement could not have been correct as at the time it was being made.
I am putting to you that as at the time the first respondent's chairperson made the statement was correct, and it is captured in paragraph 12 of the petitioner's petition.
I decline that.
Very well. Now, what was the source from which you obtained information to draw up your Exhibit E for this honorable court?
My Lord, Exhibit E was based on the first respondent's own data.
But you have gracefully brought it to the attention of the court. You want to rely on it. Is that not so?
Yes, we want to rely on it to the extent that we want to prove a case against the first respondent.
No.
And I'm comfortable, I'm a teacher, my Lord.
Now, my lords, in Exhibit E, there are votes assigned to the petitioner and the second respondent and all the other presidential candidates. Is that not so? That's on the last page of Exhibit E.
By the first respondent, yes.
Now, what we have here is 677-6066 for the second respondent. Is that correct?
From where, please?
That's the total,
Yeah, the
total valid votes.
yeah.
Is that correct?
6,776,066.
That's what is on it. Is that correct?
I don't know. Yes, it's in this statement.
Yes.
Yes.
And then also for the petitioner, we have 6,265,276. Is that correct?
According to the documents submitted by the first respondent.
No. It is your document we are looking at, please. Now, look below the figures we have just gone through. For the second respondent, there's a percentage of 5.126. It is down there. That's 51.126. Sorry, 51.261. The way we have rendered it, that's fine. 0.5, yes. 0.51261472. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, I am suggesting to you that this works to a percentage of 51.2614.
Percentage of what?
A percentage of the total valid votes also on this sheet.
It's 51.263%. Yeah.
Right. Now, for the petitioner, we have 47.397 assigned to him by your sheet. Is that correct?
47 point. Yes.
Right. That's correct. Now, deduct the number assigned to the second respondent. No, deduct the number assigned from the petitioner from that assigned to the second respondent and tell this court the difference.
Which of the numbers? You asked about percentage.
6.
You are now asking.
6, 7, yes, I've moved on from percentage. 6776066 minus 6265276. What do you get?
677. It's not that good. I think you'll be stretching the witness about 510,790.
Thank you very much.
It's okay.
Yes. You got 510,790.
Yes, my lord.
Right. Now, it is not true that the first respondent padded invoice as you allege. I'm putting it to you.
My lord, I decline that assertion.
Now, in your exhibit F, you allege that 4693 votes was added in favor of the second respondent. That is the allegation.
My lord, if you look at my statement, I indicated that I will bring a sample of the constituencies and polling stations where padding took place. I did not indicate that is an exhaustive list of all the places where the padding took place.
So we are using the numbers that you have brought to the court to assist the court. I am saying that the total of 4693 is what you have put in there. Is that right?
I brought it as a sample. I did it in my statement, actually indicates that this is from a sample of this particular perspective. I don't understand sample to mean total of the population.
Now deduct the 510,790. We deduct the 4693 from 510,790. What do you get?
With all due respect, I don't see the point of the
greatest respect. You are being rude to the court, not to me.
Okay. Yeah, come again.
And so that we deduct 4693 from 510,790. What do you get?
6. I got 506,097.
Good. I am suggesting to you that even if this your number as alleged, which is denied, even if it is deducted from the total valid votes of the second respondent, he still has won by your own sheet by 51.246%. I am putting it to you.
My lord, I deny that because by subtracting apples from mangoes. But this is a sample. You want to take a sample from a population of another group. I don't see where the population is coming from.
See, I am suggesting to you that you have no evidence to support your allegation. That is why you have brought only what you have. I am putting it to you.
We are not in court to try to declare another presidential it was by us. We are in court to challenge the performance of a constitutional duty of a first respondent and to see whether that duty has been discharged faithfully. If that is so, then I'm suggesting to you that you are not, by your own showing, you are not in the right forum. I decline that, my Lord. Now you have earlier told this court that you cannot speak to what happened in the strong room when the two representatives were there. Yeah. Is that correct? That's correct. Because on that basis, I'll end my cross-examination of the witness. Yes, my Lord, I do. So, Mr. Aseidu Nketia, you recall that before the declaration of 7th of 9th January 2021, December 2021. Relax. 9 December 2020. Your party and your presidential candidate held a series of press conferences on what you consider to be the outcome of the elections. Is that not so? It is so, my Lord. In those press conferences, you announced to the whole world that the petitioner had won the presidential elections and was by the votes you had collected the president-elect. Am I correct? My Lord, that is not in my witness statement. So can you answer that question? You did say so. Didn't you? Come again. I said your party, including your good self, and the first petitioner, and also one Otokuno, your deputy, together with other leading members of your party, you held several press. So, I'm putting to you that your party held a number of press conferences. Yes, my Lord, that is so. Now,
press conferences, or in some of them, you were present and you spoke on the issue of the results of the presidential elections.
Yes, my lord.
The petitioner himself also spoke on the outcome of the presidential elections.
Yes, my lord.
And as deputy, Tokuno equally spoke on the results of the presidential elections.
My lord, I can attest to my statement at the forum where the petitioner was present and he spoke. But I don't remember being present at a forum where my deputy spoke.
Now, you know that your presidential candidate, that is a petitioner, asserted that he had won the 2020 presidential elections. The Ghanaians had voted for change.
And what I remember the petitioner said was that the results are declared by the first respondent is not accurate.
Now, I'm also putting it to you that you yourself declared that the petitioner had won the presidential elections.
Unless I'm reminded, but I remember saying that NDC has won parliamentary majority in parliament, and that gives President Mahama a comfortable situation to be able to run the next government.
So I'm suggesting to you that by that statement, you were saying that the petitioner had won the elections and was going to become the president.
But there were all indications that he was going to become the
It's
president.
not indications. I'm saying that by what you said, you meant that he had won the elections, but that was the only way he could form the next government.
And Lord, if I meant that, I would have said so.
Mr. Aseidu Nketia, we served on the petitioner our witness statement. You are aware.
Lord, I'm not the petitioner.
I didn't say you are the petitioner. I said we served on the petitioner our witness statement.
Yes, I'm aware we have been served.
Have you seen a copy of the witness statement?
Yes, I've seen it.
Do you admit that in the witness statement of the petitioner, of the second respondent, you have attached Exhibit 6?
Exhibit
6.
Yes, sir.
Hours, we are looking for hours. Yes, can you answer?
Yes, I've seen this.
So we presume that you know the contents. So we presume that you are speaking, you know the contents of that video clip.
Well, my lord, I have not played the contents, so I cannot testify that I know what is contained there.
My lords, I would need some direction here. This is a problem that arises at trial in the High Court. Our witness is not at the moment giving testimony. A witness on the other side is giving testimony, and you want to confront him with material or exhibits in your witness statement. In our witness statement, to discredit him. What he's saying. Now, at the time that he would have finished his evidence and stepped out, when we leave that evidence, he will not be available to respond to the content of that evidence. We want to play the video so that you exactly. Yes, very well. Yes. Mr. Campbell. Yes, my lord.
You are conducting your case, so if at a point you think that there is evidence which you want to make an application to the court to allow you to either show to the court, you have to put that application before the court. But as it is, you have not made any application. You have to give the other side the opportunity to respond. What you're asking is you want directions from us.
Yes.
So you know what to do.
If you leave the oral application to have the video that will attach to our witness statement played out so that we can properly confront the witness with his own acts and that of the petitioner, together with leading members of his party, on the issue whether or not they declared to the Ghanaian public that petitioner had won the election.
You have to address us on relevance. So what is the relevance? What would this video establish?
The relevance is that the petitioner and his supporters or his leadership led Ghanaians to believe that they had won the election and that there was an attempt by the first respondent together with, in collusion with the second respondent, were trying the will of the people, and that they had all the necessary page sheets to demonstrate that they have won the elections. When they came to court finally, at a lot of pressure from the public that if you won't come to court, all they are saying is that if you use the errors in the chairperson of the first respondent's announcement, then neither party has won, so they should let them. It goes to their faith, good faith, the credibility.
Well, Mr. Kotuampa, anybody at all can call a press conference and declare himself or herself to be the winner of an election. And you mean because I called a press conference and declared that I won an election, that should be taken as the law? No. We have laws, we have regulations, and how we know how to declare our results.
My lords, where a major party in the republic, like the NDC, is mobilizing, Mr. Kukumba, you see, the witness is denying these allegations. Yes, that is why you have your witness statement together with this, would I say, proposed exhibit or whatever, served on him. If it is your time, or if your time comes, then you have to put in. Yes, my lords, what I'm seeking to, I'm actually applying to the court for leave to play the video and use it because it's part of our case, and use it to cross-examine the witness. And my lord, I'm saying that this is a difficulty.
We are talking about credibility. We want to establish credibility.
Yes. So you haven't said so. No, my lord, I said it goes to his credibility. I said so.
What to put this application in the rules? I mean, you have to premise your application in the rules of court and in the Evidence Act. That's your job. That's your burden.
I mean, our application is relevant to this petition to the extent that it demonstrates the credibility of the petitioner in respect the credibility or lack thereof of the petitioner in respect of the 2020 presidential elections. And yes.
So what's your submission? What is your submission? What is the application that you want us to?
My application is a leave for the video.
Confronting with the exhibit?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's been very invasive, almost to the point of denial.
The challenge we have is that you did not give any indication prior to this hearing that you want a video to be played.
My lords, it's attached to our witness statement that I believe all your lordships have copies of. And I have every reason to presume that you know that we like to play it.
I'm not sure whether the registry, Mr. Registrar, I'm not sure whether there is any provision made for that. Do you have?
want to respectfully believe that we have not been heard. There have been several steps of questions. We have not been heard. Even in respect of its basic attempt. Okay.
You can reply.
Submission. The application. She said he was making an oral
application.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that my understanding was that the question from His Worship Justice Amega talked about the practicality of implementing that.
Yeah, it has not been granted. So we have to that, and we want to see that in fact, literally, was in the box. He opened the envelope. It should be put to him. That witness statement is not in evidence. It's not been adopted in evidence. So my the procedures are simply being confused from this witness statement, which is an invention into our rules. Well, you see, CIA 87, it is, if it's not evidence yet, yes, that is why they can do what they are doing. Because no longer it's not evidence until they come to the boss, yes, and adopt it. It is no evidence. So it's like they are having a document. They want to confront the witness with the document.
To be sure. So that is what I'm saying. And so we're in a situation where the practicalities do not allow
the equipment that can be used to video to the witness. That is the case.
Mr. Presenter, even if we were not in an era of case management panel where you bring you show all your evidence, you still would have access to this through the Evidence Act. It's just about electronic evidence as compared to paper evidence. And so the system has to be set up if you apply fully.
We have actually notified the registry that we would be needing there was, but that is why I made the application.
My lords, once you're considering these practicalities, I would like to indicate that we would, by the same token, especially once the technology is available, we would wish to have the declaration made on which is testified and which is part of our witness thing, the declaration made by the chairperson of the first respondent to be played also. We have the exhibit, so we would also, just for the sake of completeness, because while we are discussing all this technology, I think exactly, that's all I'm saying.
Counsel for the second respondent wants the court to have access to the content of a prospective exhibit which has been annexed to the witness statement. As this attachment is not in evidence now, we hereby order that it should be placed on the next agenda date for us to ascertain its admissibility on the grounds of relevancy. Yes. Yeah. My court, the petition is adjourned to Monday, the 1st of February 2021 at 9:30 a.m. for continuation of cross-examination.
You have to start.
Please, you've not been discharged. So Monday, they may continue to conduct the court examination.
Very well, man.
We are ready to collaborate with the registry to provide the necessary facilities, if need be. Very well. Thank you for your unsolicited assistance.